Howdy, and welcome back to the Cast. We've got our second game of our Winter Rubicon tournament going on, and still in the first round. So tonight we've got Alex Black playing Seraphon, and Alex Wentz playing his incredible Stormcast Dragons list. Pretty excited about the tournament. Not sure if you tuned in for last time, but here's the bracket. And you can see on the bracket, we've got 8 players, each playing a different faction in a single elimination tournament, going toward a championship at the end. That's going to be our Winter Rubicon.
So I am playing Seraphon today against your Stormcast.
Yep.
A little bit of dragons, and I really love big dinosaurs. So I thought there's no bigger dinosaur than the Dread Saurian. So he doesn't pop up on YouTube much.
Nope.
He's a big 35 wound beast. So I figured run him into some dragons today, see what he does.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see what Karazai does to his face. We play pretty often, but I'm really excited to see what your list can do today.
Yeah, we've played similar matchups, but not like this.
No.
I don't think I've ever played a game like this. So here we go into the lists.
Absolutely. So I am playing a Hammers of Sigmar list, led by my Knight Adjudicator. He's got the Mirror Shield artifact, and he has the command trait Shock and Awe. And for Holy Command, I gave Steadfast Charge. I have Karazai in the list as well with them, and Vandus Hammerhead to help support my little troops. I brought 1 unit of Vindictors, 2 units of Vigilers, and 1 unit of Stormdrake Guard to back them all
up. So I am running Thunder Lizards today. My list is led by the Engine of the Gods, who's going to take Prime War Beast, and he will have the Fusel of Conflagration, which is the artifact you have to take for Thunder Lizards, and the command trait you have to take for him. And then he will have the Mount trait from the White Dwarf. I have a Slant Star Master. He will know Walk Between Realms, a Skink Priest with Heal, and a Skink Star Priest with Hand of Glory. So that's his spell. The Engine of the Gods also knows Heal because he is a priest now. I have a Bastillodon with the Solar Engine, a unit of 10 Skinks, a unit of 5 Saurus Guard, the a Stegodon to fill out my battle line, and the Dread Saurian, obviously. I'm running a Warlord Battalion and Alpha Beast Pack, which has the Dread Saurian and the Bastillodon in it. And because I am at 1990 and Alex is at 2000 exactly, I will get my Triumph, which is +1 to wound. And I am running Beastmaster for my Grand Strategy. So today we are playing Veins of Gur. So both of us are going to be deploying on the long sides of the board. We start with no objective markers, and then on the beginning of battle round 2, we get 1 objective marker in the center of the board along a line that goes down the long way. And then the start of battle round 3, we get the other 2 objective markers at the edge of our deployment zones. You get a number of victory points equal to the number of the current battle round for each objective you control, and 2 points per battle tactic. So for my deployment, I kept the Dread Saurian kind of off to one flank so he can move up, and because he's deep striking a lot of his army, with that big base he's able to defend a lot of deep strike area. So I'm going to have him move up that side of the board. I have my Engine of the Gods kind of in the center to dish out command abilities with his extended range. The Slan is in the right behind him, which will help with the rolling on his engine table and give a little buff to the Saurian. I have the Skink Priest in the Realm Shaper engine because with the White Dwarf everything is mystical and deadly on my side, so he'll get a 6-up Feel No Pain, and with a bigger size be able to dish out that heal a little bit farther. And then I put my Bastillodon off to the side just to kind of lumber up the side and tank a bunch of wounds.
My strategy is just simply go down the middle and see what dragons can do, and eventually get sneaky with my deep strikes like Stormcast like to do, and see where he's not paying attention and get in there and just do some damage. I did deep strike my Vindictors, both Mages of Vigilers, and my Vandus Hammerhead, because gotta keep my troops safe. And since I'm using Hold the Line, it gives them a little extra time of not taking damage. And I did finish deployment first, so I am going to choose to be on the offensive and go first.
Sounds good. Good luck.
Good luck. I'm actually going to choose Broken Ranks. And I'm going to target those skinks over there and see what I can do.
Sounds about right.
And then I'm going to try to get a command point with Karazai. Which I do not.
I'll attempt to get a command point with the Engine of the Gods and a 4-up, which I do.
So I am going to start off by giving my dragons a normal move in the hero phase. On a 2-up, I get attempt to charge. Which, there we go. And now, let's see if I can get that 12-up. No. That's okay. No other hero phase, because I have no other special things going on. So proceed into actual movement. My strategy for this turn is I just moved most of my guys right up the center to target those skinks, do some dragon breath weapons hopefully, get in on charge and just take them out. And then I also deep struck my Vigilers in to see if they can do any extra chipping damage to, well, something over there. We'll kind of see how my breath weapons go and take it from there. Let's go to shooting. And I am going to start off with my dragons. They're going to shoot at your skinks.
Yes, sir.
So, 1 to 2 is nothing. So, 2, and that's just 2d3 damage. So that's 6 damage.
So, because I'm within 1 inch of terrain piece that's within my territory, they have the mystical rule, so they will get a 6-up feel no pain on these, which I save 2 of. That is 4 skinks down.
And then I am going to have Karazai also shoot at your skinks, which is also d3 for 3 damage.
That is some good rolling. I am going to roll my feel no pains, which I save none of, so that's another 3.
I'm going to have my Knight Judicator cast his Gaze of Sigmar. I'm going to have it right here in the center.
Okay, so you will get Stegodon, Skink Star Priest, Engine of the Gods, Slam, the Saurus Guard, and I assume the Dread Saurian as well.
Yep. All right, so let's start off big. Go for the Dread Saurian on a 4-up. He takes d3 mortals. So that is 2 mortals.
6-up feel no pains. I save 1, fail 1.
Nice. All right. Your Stegodon, which is nothing. Your Skink Priest right in the center, nothing as well. Your Engine of the Gods, that will be 2 mortals.
I'm within 1 of that train piece right there, so 6 ups. Save neither.
I will go for your Slam then, which will be 3 mortals.
So with the guard right there, I have to try to take these on the guard themselves, which I do. So they will take those 3 wounds, and then the guards will get their 6-up feel no pain, which I save none of. So that kills 1.5 of those. Also, you do have to roll for the guard.
Yes, I am going to roll for the guards, which will be 1 mortal.
6 up. Don't save it. finish that last guy, or the second guy off.
And then your skink priest. Nothing.
Okay.
Alright, and then for my last bit of shooting, I'm going to have my vigilers shoot into your skink. Is that Starseer?
Skink Star Priest, right?
Star Priest, yes. I'll have them shoot.
I'm going to use that free command point that I got from the Engine of the Gods for all-out defense.
So 3s to hit. And 3s to wound. So that'll be 6 at -1 rend.
So -1 takes me to a 6. Because I used all-out defense, I am on a 5. 5 of save, which I save 1 of. These are 1 damage each.
Yes.
I am not within 1 inch of a terrain feature, so he is just dead.
I'm going to end my shooting phase, going in for some charges.
Okay.
So, I'm going to have my dragons there. Make a charge roll. That's an 8.
After you are done making that roll, or making that charge move, I do want to shoot with the Stegodon. So I'm going to use a command point for Unleash Hell.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be 3 shots hitting on 4s and wounding on 3s for 1 at -1.
So 4 up. And they're good.
And then the javelins from the Stegodon. This will be hitting on 6s and wounding on 4s for 1 at no rend.
And good. Alright, so at the end of my charge phase, I'm going to smash to rubble and try to get rid of that Realm Shaper engine. So on a 3 up. Takes care of it.
Okay. Okay, so with destroying the Realm Shaper, I roll a die. On a 1, the Skink Priest inside is just slain outright. And on anything else, he gets kicked out within 3 inches, but outside of 3 of an enemy. And he's slain.
Oh. That hurts to even see on my end. Oh.
So for me, I am going to Titanic Duel with the Engine of the Gods.
Alright, so going into combat, I am going to take my red dragon there, and I'm going to put all of his sword attacks into the skinks.
Yep.
And then I'm going to put everything else into the Engine of the Gods.
Okay. I'm going to lower the crest for the Engine of the Gods at the dragons, obviously. And I'm going to spend a command point to give him an additional +1 with all-out defense.
And then I am going to all-out attack with my guys as I'm doing this. So to start off, I will have my prime attack your skinks. So 2s and 3s. So that is 4 at -1.
4 saves at -1. Because of my shields, I'm on a 5 up save, going to a 6 up. So looking for 6s, which I save none of. How much damage?
1 damage each, so 4 damage total.
1 damage each, and they will get their 6 up feel no pain. And I save none of them. So those skinks are gone, kaput, dead. And you get your battle tactic.
I did. 6 attacks with the sword into your Engine of the Gods. Significantly worse. So that is 2 at -1.
2 at -1 because of my all-out defense and lowering the crest. I will be at +2 to save, which goes to +1, so I'm on a 3 up save for these. And I save them both.
Nice. Alright. And then I'm going to do my Fangs and Talons. That's on 2s as well. And 3s. So that is 4 at -2.
4 minus 2 will put me on my standard save of 4 up. So I save one of those.
So that'd be 6 damage total.
6 damage. I take 1 off of each of those. So it's going to be 3 damage total, which I get a 6 up feel no pain on. And I save none of those. I go to 5 wounds taken. Okay, so because I am Prime War Beast with the Engine of the Gods, he will get an additional attack. So I will attack back with the Engine of the Gods. Because of the Prime War Beast, he's going to get an extra attack on all of these, and then an additional jaw attack for being in Coalesced. So, Massive Horns. This is normally 3s and 3s, but because of Titanic Duel, this is going to be on 2s and 3s with 3 attacks. 2 hit. And 1 wound at -1.
That is going through. Just 1 wound?
That is 4 damage. Grinding Jaws, this is going to be 4 attacks, 2s and 3s. All hit. And 2 wounds at -1.
That is good.
And then Crushing Stomps. This is normally 4 attacks with how many wounds I've taken, but because of Prime War Beast, it will be 1 additional. Ooh, that's rough. So that will be... Actually, no, that's okay, because I hit on 2s. And then 3s to wound. So 3 of them at -1.
I failed 2.
There's 2 damage each. So another 4 damage.
No battle shock in my end. And I did score my tactic for the turn. And that's it right now, because no objectives are still on the battlefield. We go to Alex's turn.
Normally I would have to take a battle shock test here, but they're bravery 8, so good to go. So for the start of my turn, I'm going to pick a battle tactic. I am going to bring it down on the unit of 2 dragons. I have to get 10 wounds through to them. It's kind of a tall order, but man, do I want those things gone. And for my heroic action, I am going to Finest Hour the Engine of the Gods to help with that endeavor.
And I am going to make Karazai go back to his old school roots and become a wizard for the turn.
Sounds good. At the beginning of my turn, I will gain 1 command point, and then with the Slant Star Master, I will attempt to gain 2 more on 4s. And I gain 2 more. I'm up to 4. I don't have the Realm Shaper engine anymore, so I don't need to worry about that. For my Celestial Asterism, I am going to pick the Great Drake, and we will go into some magic. So the Slan is going to cast Walk Between Realms. This goes off on a 6. He has +1. I get it on a 12.
Okay.
So he's going to make the Dread Saurian fly, just in case I get near any terrain that I can't get over. He is going to cast Comet's Call, which I get on a 7. So I'm going to use his Itsy Grub's reroll to attempt to reroll that, get a little bit higher. And I get a 12 as well.
Nothing I can do there.
So this is going to be D6 units for 3. So we are going to pick the Stormdrake Guard, your Vigilers, and your General. So for your General, he takes 1. For your Vigilers, they will be taking 2. And for your Stormdrake Guard, they will be taking 1.
Stormdrake Guard. On a 4 up, just ignore that, which they just ignore.
Sounds good. And then the last spell for the Slan is going to be Mystic Shield, which I get on a 12. That's the greatest magic phase without really doing it.
You know what? I have to do it. I'm going to attempt to unbind.
Hey, you paid for it.
Okay, on a 10, did not unbind.
Got a 10. And that Mystic Shield is going to go on the Engine of the Gods. So the Engine of the Gods is going to attempt to heal himself. Normally on a 3, but because I'm within 1 inch of a terrain feature, it's going to be on a 2. And I do for D3 for 3. And at the end of the hero phase, the Slan is going to switch his spell to Celestial Apotheosis. So we are going to go to the movement phase.
So when you do that, I'm going to redeploy.
With the Vigilers?
Yes. And redeploy is just D6
Yeah.
inches, right? Oh, the 6.
It's a big one. So for my movement, I got the Dread Saurian to a place where I could charge the Vigilers or the Stormdrake Guard. He redeployed, got a really good roll. I kept my Stegodon where he is so that he could charge in and get some good shots off. And then the Bastiladon just kind of crept up from the side. Okay, so for shooting, we are going to fire up the engines first. 3d6. That is a 9. I believe that is some mortal wounds. This is mortal wounds to everything within 12 or one thing within 24. Really, I want to do it to the thing that I'm right next to anyway. So on a 2-up, he's going to take D3 mortal wounds. For 3.
And when my guard dies there, I get to do a little bit of extra explosion damage possibly. So any 6s to do some damage.
Sounds good.
That'll be 3 mortals right back.
3 mortals, and then I do have a 6-up Feel No Pain for the Engine of the Gods, and I will ignore one of those. Taking 2.
And yeah, when my Stormdrake Guard model dies, you will take that damage right at the end of the phase.
Okay. I think we're going to shoot the Bastiladon into the Stormdrake Guard. So this is going to be 9 shots into the Stormdrake Guard, hitting on 4s. And then these are going to be wounding on 3s. For 2 wounds at -1.
Neither one.
That is 2 damage each. So the Engine of the Gods also has javelins on 5s and 4s. For nothing. I'm going to spend a command point to fire up the engine one more time. So 3d6 for another 9. And we're going to do the same thing. So on a 2-up, take D3 for 2. Oh, getting close. So we're going to shoot with the Stegodon into the Vigilers back there, and then the Javelins into the Stormdrake Guard, because it's the closest thing. So there's going to be 3s and 3s, 2 hits, and 2 wounds at -1 into the Vigilers.
I'm rolling on 5s here. Save 1 and fail 1.
That is 3 damage for that.
Nice.
And then the 4 Javelin shots on 5s and 4s, no hits. You know, I thought they would do so much. Okay, that is all of my shooting, so we will get into some charges. The Engine of the Gods is already in combat, so we are going to charge with the Stegodon. Ooh, that's a big 3. That's a loud 3.
That was a very loud 3.
We're going to use a command point. And that's a 5, which is better. That is just out of a ½ inch. So that charge fails, and we will go to the Dread Saurian. I didn't want that Stegodon in there anyway, because then there's no space for the Dread Saurian to land. He ain't going anywhere anyway. With a 6, the Dread Saurian gets exactly nowhere. So that redeploy was pretty clutch. So my Stegodon, or my Engine of the Gods, will be the only thing in combat this turn. End of the charge phase for my Monstrous Rampage. I'm going to attempt to roar at your Stormdrake Guard. And I do not.
I am going to Titanic Duel.
Sounds good. Oh, I'm going to pile in. keeping myself within 1 of a terrain feature so that I get my Feel No Pains. And beginning of the combat phase, the Great Drake is obviously going to be on the Engine of the Gods to give additional attacks. And we are going to lower our crest at the Stormdrake Guard. So I am +1 to save for Finest Hour, and +1 to save for the crest.
And when you go into combat, I am going to all defense my Stormdrake Guard as well.
I am going to all-out attack with the Engine of the Gods. I have an additional 2 attacks to all of these, except for the Grinding Jaws. I have an additional 3 attacks with the Coalesced trait. So, Massive Horns. These are going to be 2s and 2s because of the Finest Hour and the all-out attack. 3 hits. And 3 wounds at -1.
All good.
So it's going to be 5 attacks with the jaws on 2s. And wounding on 2s as well. That is 4 wounds at -1.
4 wounds. I am looking for 3s. I fail one of them.
That is 2 damage.
That will take him out. But in his glorious burst of explosioniness,
Yeah, you're going to roll some dice.
6s, 2 mortals. So just 1.
And I will get the 6-up Feel No Pain from the Mystical Terrain for this, which I do not make. So I go up to 5 wounds, since this is now the end of the phase. Okay, so no battle shock to take. So end of the turn here, I did score my battle tactic, and I did it with a monster, so I get 2 for the battle tactic, 1 for the monster, and an additional 1 for killing a monster. So I will be going up to 4 points. Time to lay an objective down. So for the setting up of objectives, we roll 2d6, and on a 2 to 6, it sets up right over here. On a 7, it sets up right in the center, and on 8 to 12, it sets up over in this quadrant. So we will roll that. On a 12, so we are setting up right over here. All right, and the objective setup looks like that. So that last round, it felt pretty rough for me, losing my Realm Shaper engine, my Priest, my Star Priest, my unit of Skinks, which were like my fast objective cappers, but being able to kill your Stormdrake Guard, I think, was pretty good.
I'm pretty sure that is the first time my Stormdrake Guard have ever been taken off of a battlefield.
And I didn't get I didn't even get the Dread Saurian into him.
So. I will say it does hurt to know that you're a little bit up and no objectives for the first round. I should have played more defensively, but now we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we got 1 objective. You're close to it. I'm close to it. We'll see what happens.
Rolling off.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all.
All right, so I am going to take the turn.
Sounds good.
I'm going to pick Monstrous Takeover, and I'm going to choose Karazai. Alright, so in the hero phase, I am going to have Karazai try to get a free command point. Not a 4. Nothing.
I'm going to attempt a heroic recovery with the Engine of the Gods. He's got a really low bravery, but I have been known to roll really low, so except for that last magic phase. So, hey, look at that! That could not have worked out better for D3. I'll roll 1 as well. Nope. So I healed 2 wounds.
All right, going into some movement.
that was perfect.
Let's just get my boy right in here. During my movement phase, as well, I just kind of move my Griffhounds up a little bit to get in the way of that Dread Saurian. I move Karazai right onto the objective so I can have him right where he needs to be. And from there, I deployed everyone from Deep Strike and going to see where it takes me. So to start off, Karazai is going to breath weapon your Bastilla down there.
Yes, sir. Roll 1, please. That's not the same.
That is D6 mortals. That is 5 mortals.
So I'm going to get a 6 up Feel No Pain on these 5 mortals. And I save all of them. And wait, I meant none of them. So I take 5 mortals.
I'm going to have Vandus use his breath weapon into your Bastilla as well. On a 4 up, he takes D3 mortals.
Which he does not.
Get out of here.
So my Vigilers are going to shoot straight down the middle at the Engine of the Gods because he keeps on healing and that's bothering me.
3s. And 3s. So 3 at -1.
-1, but I am Mystic Shielded currently, so I will get a 4 of save. I save 1, fail 2, and I'm going to get my 6 of Feel No Pain on these, and I save neither.
Oh yes, so now that I hit, until the end of the turn, anything else that I target at him will give +1 to hit. My other unit of Vigilers, they are going to shoot at the Dread Saurian.
Big chonky boy.
3s. Ooh. So that is 2 at -1 on the Dread Saurian.
2 at -1, this is going to put them at 5 ups, so the Dread Saurian ain't got no good saves. Fail both of them.
I am going to have my General shoot into your Engine of the Gods as well.
Okay.
So he has 2 attacks. Normally he's 3s to hit, but
What's the
because
rend on these?
3.
-3.
Yes. So he's going to be 2s to hit and 2s to wound.
Before you roll this, I am going to spend a command point for all-out defense. I was hoping I could stay away from it, but with rend of -3, that's pretty chunky.
So that is 2 at -3.
2 at -3. I'm going to ignore 2 of those, so this is going to be on 5 ups. Save them both.
Oh jeez. Alright. So I'm going to attempt to charge with my Vindictors.
They need a 9. Which they do not, but
I will have Vandus give them a reroll of that. And that does not get it. I am going to attempt to charge with Karazai. I'm going to do it.
Just see what you get. You don't have to move it.
don't even think I get in anyway.
Griffhounds are going to go in for the charge.
Sounds good.
On an 8, they get in.
I think they make it.
They get in. Let's do this, boys. All right.
So end of the charge phase. I don't think your Griffhounds get a monstrous rampage.
They look like it, but they don't.
The Dread Saurian is absolutely going to try to stomp them. And he's going to stomp them. Not that good, though. Just a 1 wound on the little Griffhound.
That's what I like to see.
All right. Going into combat then. Griffhounds. It attacks total 3s and 4s.
Look at that. And 6s do 20 more wounds each.
I don't think that's the case.
4s.
That's a lot of...
that is 6 with no rend.
6 with no rend is going to put me on a 4-up. That's going to put me on my regular 4-up. So I save all but 2 of those.
So that's 2 damage.
2 damage from Griffhounds on the Dread Saurian. It's not a useless charge.
And then...
Now run away.
Now after all their attacks, they get to run away 6 inches.
Yeah, get out of here.
So that's what we're going to do. They're going to come back here and just have a little hangout session. That will be my turn.
Sounds good.
So, I completed Monstrous Takeover and scored the objective for 2 points. Very kind of disappointing turn.
there wasn't a lot of output there, but you did knock the Bastiladon down, and you got the objective. The objective's worth more and more points as the game goes on, and you got a big guy on it. So.
This I do.
Yes. So at the beginning of my turn, for my battle tactic, I think I'm going to pick Broken Ranks, and I'm going to pick the unit of 5 Vigilers in the middle. They seem a little easier to get to than the Gryph-hounds with more of my stuff. So I want to be able to get as much as I can, attacking them. Just try to peg some wounds off. Okay, so we are going to attempt to get a command point, or get command points from the Slon on 4s. Should I get 1? So that puts me up to 4. Give me 4.
Well, I have you on 3 plus 1 conditional.
Yes. Okay.
Or no, 4. Just pure 4. None of these are conditional.
Yeah.
I think you should go for aggressive expansion.
You think so?
I think so. I feel like it's the meta play.
But he already went Broken Ranks.
I
Yeah.
know.
So I'm going to try Heroic Recovery again. The double ones really boosted my confidence that I can do anything as long as the goal is to roll 1s. So, and I do now.
You know what? I'm going to make my Karazai Wizard again. We'll see if maybe you won't roll nothing but 12s again.
We're going to leave my Sacred Asterism in the Great Drake. We are going to attempt to heal the Stegodon with his Prayer. Normally a 3, this time a 2, which I do for D3 for 1. 4 wounds. The Slan is going to attempt to cast Celestial Apotheosis. So we'll attempt to cast Celestial Apotheosis, which goes off on a 9, which will be 1 wound back. And then we'll attempt to cast Comet's Call. Get it on a 13.
Every time.
That's going to be D6 units again for 1. Not a great number. So we're going to pick the Vigilers that I'm going into. They take D3 mortal wounds for 1. And the last spell from the Slon is going to be Mystic Shield on the Engine of the Gods one more time. Which I get on a 10.
Well, since I didn't try to unbind anything else, let's see what happens. Yep, you got it.
Okay. So that is my 3 spells. And I am going to use a command point from the Slon to give the Dread Saurian Fly and +1 to save against missile attacks. Okay, and then we will go into movement.
When you do that, I'm going to redeploy.
With the Vigilers?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
4 inches.
Good one. Okay, for my movement, I just wanted to get the Engine of the Gods up with the Stegodon, try to put some pressure on those Vigilers, and then my Dread Saurian, because I gave him Fly, I'm just going to try to jam in there as hard as I can. I had to keep the Engine of the Gods and the Slam kind of close to let me roll those 3 dice, and then the Bastiladon just came up a little bit just to kind of poke on that objective. Okay. So, start of the shooting phase, the Engine of the Gods is going to spin the engines. That is another 9. Boy, I am solid on the 9s. So, I'm going to just pick the Vigilers instead of doing everything within 12. 2, doesn't matter. And the Engine of the Gods is not within range to shoot with its javelins, so those just go away. The Stegodon is going to shoot into the Vigilers as well. This is going to be 3s and 3s. All hit. And 2 wounds at -1.
Let's make one, fail one.
That is 3 damage. So the Bastillodon is going to shoot into them with the Solar Engine. This is only going to be 7 shots. And then the Javelins are going to go into Vandus. So Javelins first. 5s and 4s. Spicy. Because of Lookout Sir, only that 6 is going to hit. So it's going to be 6s. And I failed the wound. I don't know why I rerolled. But I failed the wound anyway. So. And then the 7 shots into the Vigilers. 4s. Not amazing. And 3s for 2 of them at -1.
Fail both.
That is 2 damage each. I'm going to spend a command point with the Engine of the Gods to attempt to shoot with the Bastillodon again. Another 7 shots. I don't get to shoot with the Javelins again, so it's just going to be the Solar Engine. 4s and 3s. 3 hits. And 3 wounds at -1.
Fail one of them.
That is 2 damage.
That's all you needed.
Hey. That's all I wanted. And that will end my shooting phase. I am going to attempt to charge with the Dread Saurian. My charges have been stellar so far. And we do not continue that that trend. So, with the Dread Saurian making a charge into his general, I do get the obliterating charge rule. On a 2-up, it's going to do d6 mortal wounds. I do d6 mortal wounds for 2.
And then unleash in hell.
Yes, sir. Nothing with the Unleash Hell.
Nope.
I'm going to roll a charge with the Engine of the Gods. And I don't get it anyway. So, okay, at the end of the charge phase, I will attempt to stomp his general on a 2-up for d3 for 3.
Rolling some dice for some damage,
Hurt me.
possibly. That is 3 mortals.
I will. There's nothing I can do about that. So, activating the Dread Saurian, he's the only thing I have in combat. We're going to attack into the Griffhounds. This is going to be 3 attacks with the Gargantuan Jaws, 4s and 3s. 2 hits. And 1 wound at -2.
They don't have a save.
That is 6 damage.
They're dead.
Nobody ever said the Dread Saurian was bad at taking out Griffhounds. Oh, I do immortal.
Nothing back. I will activate my Vigilers and get into some combats there. Because they're not slouches.
Same profile in shooting and melee.
Yep.
Alright, my bad.
So that's 4 at -1.
4 at -1 is going to put me on a 5-up. Which I save 1 of, so I'm going to take 3.
3 damage.
So end of the turn here, I do get my battle tactic. I killed them with a monster, so I will get 3 points for this. I would have liked to get that objective, but I don't know how I would take it off, take Karazai and Vandus off of there, or one or the other, to be able to take it with the Bastillodon. So it's nice to chomp some stuff with the Dread Saurian too. So his general being gone is going to be a big help for me, limiting his command points, and we'll see where the next turn takes us. So, start of the 3rd battle round. We are going to roll for the objectives. A 2 to 6 is going to come over in this quadrant. A 7 will come up in the middle, and then the 8 to 12 will come up on this side. So I will roll for the one that comes on the edge of my deployment zone, and I roll a 9. So that is coming up
Right here.
right about in this area.
And then I rolled an 8.
Rolled an 8, so it's coming up in the same spot.
This is gonna be a.
This is going to be a slugfest.
That's what I like to see.
So the objectives are going to come down like that. It's hard to see this one. We'll have to measure if we land on top of this terrain. But now we have to roll to see who goes next. It's going to be a big one. I'm due one.
I knew it was gonna be the 6. I was waiting. I was like, it's gonna be a 6. I even said it. Yep.
All right, I will absolutely be taking this turn. Start of the turn, I'm going to get 2 command points, and Alex is also going to get 2 command points because his general's dead. So I'm going to pick aggressive expansion for this turn. I'm going to pick this objective marker right here, and the one that Karazai and Vandus are on right there. The start of the hero phase, I will attempt to get some command points from the Slan. I get none. And then we will attempt for my heroic action, heroic leadership, which I do not get. And your heroic action?
I am going to choose. Karazai to be a mage again.
All right. For my celestial asterism, I am going to stick with the Great Drake for the time being, and we will start to cast with the Slan. I will attempt to cast Celestial Apotheosis. I don't get that. I'm going to use his Itsy Grubs reroll.
That one's a turn.
That's once per hero phase, yeah.
Okay.
And I get it on a 9. Okay. With a 9, I just heal 1. So I go up to 3. And then I will attempt to cast Comet's Call with the Slan, which I get on a 9.
This I will attempt to unbind, which I do not.
Okay, D3 units
Fours for unbind.
for 3. That's more than I got with the D6. So we're going to pick Karazai, the Vindictors, and Vandus. So for Karazai, takes 1.
No award there. Next one.
Vandus takes 3.
Due to the fact that I'm Hammers of Sigmar and I'm wholly within objectives, I now have a 6 up award. Bandits? Nothing.
And the Vindictors will take 2. And then last spell he will cast is Mystic Shield, which I get on a 7. I would put Mystic Shield on the Engine of the Gods. I'm going to attempt with the Engine of the Gods to heal on a 3-up, which I do for D3 for 3. And then we will go to movement.
So when he is ending his movement, I'm actually going to redeploy my Vindictors and see if I can get them closer to the objective. 4.
I just wanted to get the Stegodons closer to the objective, potentially get in there. The Bastillodon, I just brought him out a little bit. And the Slan I had to keep close to the Engine of the Gods so that I still get that 3d6 for his ability. In the start of the shooting phase, I will fire up the Engine of the Gods. Another 9. It has been so tried and true. I am going to do everything within 12, which will hit the Vindictors, the Vandus, and Karazai. So Karazai on a 2-up, you are good. Vandus on a 2-up takes 1.
Award, he takes 1.
And the Vindictors on a 2-up, they are good as well. Odds are not ever in my favor. And then the Javelins will go into Karazai. So this will be 5s and 4s. No wounds. The Stegodon is going to shoot everything into Karazai. Going to be 3s and 3s. For 2 of them at -1.
make both of those.
Okay.
And a 4 up.
And then 5s and 4s for these. For one of them at no rend.
A 3. I'm good.
Okay. The Bastiladon is going to shoot into Karazai. This is going to be 7 shots. And then the 4 javelins are going to go into the Vindictors. And 3s to wound. That is 2 wounds at -1.
4s. Neither.
That is 4 damage.
Roll me some wards. Nothing.
And then the 4 javelin attacks into the Vindictors. 5s and 4s. So 1 hit and 1 wound.
Any run?
Nope.
So 3. Nothing.
1 damage.
Look at that.
Hey, ignored that one.
Pink.
We are going to spend a command point here to shoot with the Bastiladon again into Karazai. 4s and 3s for one of them at -1.
4. I'm good.
You are good. We are going to declare some charges. Charging with the Stegodon for a 10. After finishing a charge move, I am going to roll for the Unstoppable Stampede. On a 3-up, he takes D3. He does not. And then we will charge with the Engine of the Gods. Should I get a 6? That should get me in. And we will roll his Unstoppable Stampede on a 3-up, and you are still good. At the end of the charge phase, for my Monstrous Rampage, I am going to do Titanic Duel with the Engine of the Gods, and I will attempt to roar with the Stegodon. So on a 3-up, the Stegodon will roar Karazai, so you cannot use command abilities in the combat phase. Dread Saurian is going to stomp, which I do, for 3. Sorry, I forgot about him.
I'm just rolling for their on death 6s to mortals against the Dread Saurian. I do 2 mortal wounds back to him.
He takes 2. Up to 13 wounds suffered.
And then I will Titanic Duel against the Engine of the Gods as well.
Against the Engine of the Gods. Okay. Going to the combat phase. At beginning of combat, both of the Stegodons are going to lower their crests at Karazai. I will use the Great Drake on the Engine of the Gods. I will also use my Mount trait on the Engine of the Gods to give him an additional attack on all of his profiles. I'm also going to use the Inspired Triumph on the Engine of the Gods, so I will be hitting at +1 and wounding at +1.
Story combat phase as well. I'll use Vandus' effect to add +1 attacks to my Vindictor's attack profile for the turn.
Okay. So I am activating the Engine of the Gods. He is going to be +3 attacks to everything, +4 to the jaws, but because of Karazai's ability, he will be -1 attacks to all his profiles. So for Massive Horns, he's going to have 4 attacks, 2s and 2s. All hit. And 2 wounds at -1.
Going at 4s, which I fail 1.
That is 4 damage.
Take only 3 there.
Grinding Jaws, this would normally be 6. Right now it's 5s on 2s and 2s. 4 hits. And, geez, 2 wounds at -1.
Go for 4s.
That's 2 damage.
And ward. I take that.
Okay, so Crushing Stomps, this is going to be 7 attacks, 2s and 2s. All hit. And 6 wounds. Man, if 6s did something, that's 5 of them.
Going on 4s. I fail 4 of them.
That is 2 damage each for a total of 8.
I ignore 2 of that.
Okay.
So I take 6.
Okay. Your activation?
Yep. Karazai is going to activate. All of it is going to go into... You're sticking down there.
The green one?
Yep.
Never mind. Never say something really stupid
All the
and
threes.
then look just like me, because that's what I just did.
And 4s. So that's 3. At 3 rend.
So with 3 rend, I would normally not have a save, but because of lowering my crest, I have a 6-up save on these, which I saved 2 of. How much damage is that?
3 damage.
3 damage, so I reduce it down to 2.
Talons. 3s and 3s. So that's 2 at -2.
-2 will put me on a 5-up. I saved neither of.
So it's just going to be 1 damage each because you reduce it.
And then the tail should be 3 and 3. It'll be 2 attacks. 3s and 3s. So that's 2 at -2.
-2, I'm on a 5-up. Save 1, fail 1.
So that's just 1 damage again.
So I'm going to activate the Dread Saurian. I'm not going to pile in. So this is going to be 4 attacks with the jaws, 4s and 3s. For 2 at -2.
6s. Nope.
That is 12 damage.
Awesome.
Is he alive?
No.
Um,
No mortals back as well.
okay. How many wounds do you have left on Karazai?
3.
Okay, so you have nobody to activate with anymore, so I will activate the Stegodon. I'm going to use my last command point for all-out attack, putting him on 2s and 3s for all his profiles. So massive horns, normally 2 attacks. Because of Karazai's ability, this is going to be 1 attack. 2s, miss with that. Grinding Jaws, this is normally 2's attacks plus 1 because of Coalesced, so we go back down to 2 attacks. 2s and 3s for 2 of them at -1.
So 4s.
That is going to be 2 damage.
2 damage.
And Crushing Stomps, this is going to be normally 3 attacks at this bracket, but because of your -1, it's going to be 2 attacks, 2s and 3s. He lives on 1 wound. Okay, so at the end of my turn, I didn't score my battle tactics because I don't control both of these objectives. I am going to control this objective here with my Bastiladon, which will give me 3 points. Didn't kill a monster, got really close, but just not there. Man, 1 wound left on Karazai. You made a couple feel no pains. I'm feeling good with where I'm at. Having Karazai on 1 wound, unable to heroic recovery because he's within 3 inches, is very good for me. So I am giving it back to you without a battle tactic achieved, but you know, what are you gonna do? So this will be the end of my turn, and into your turn 3.
Alright. To start the turn off, I'm going to choose Bring It Down. And I'm going to choose the Stegodon here.
Okay. At the beginning of your turn, I will gain 1 command point. You will not because of our general.
Correct. And then for heroic action, I'm actually going to do the Finest Hour on Karazai.
Okay. For my heroic action, I will attempt to get a command point from the Engine of the Gods. This is on a 4, and I do.
Alright. Going to movement here. Just move Vandus back a hair. Move my Vindictors up to get a charge in, and Karazai obviously cannot move. I don't have much on the table here.
So we will see where this goes. So we'll go into some shooting. I'm going to use Karazai's Breath on the Stegodon.
Yes, sir.
1 mortal wound.
He goes to 6 wounds taken.
And then Vandus Hammerheads as well on the Stegodon.
That's on a 4.
On a 4-up, he'll take D3. He does not. Going into some charges. My Vindictors are going to attempt a charge roll. Which they got. End of the charge phase, yes. I am going to choose Titanic Duel against the Stegodon.
Okay. I'm going to choose Titanic Duel with the Engine of the Gods. I'm going to attempt to roar with the Stegodon. 3-up, which I do. And then I will stomp with the Bastillodon. For D3 for 2.
I ignore one of it.
Take your wounds, sir.
Going into combat, start combat, Vandus will use his effect on my Vindictors to give them +1 attack profile.
Okay.
And Karazai is going to attack into the Bastillodon.
So I'm going to activate both of my crests are going to go into Karazai for +1 to save on the Engine of the Gods and on the Stegodon. And because it is the combat phase, my Constellation the Great Drake will obviously be activated on the Engine of the Gods. He's the only hero in combat. And then when Karazai targets the green Stegodon, I will use that free command point that I got in the hero phase for all-out defense, giving him +2 to save, or 4-up save, ignoring round of 2.
Alright. Starting off with the Annihilating Jaw.
See what I can do.
2s and 3s. Lots of 1s. So that's 3 at -3.
3 at -3 will take me to a 5-up save, which I make none of.
So it's 3 damage each.
3 damage each. So 3 attacks going through. Because of the -1 damage, it's going to be 6 damage total, which, because he is Thunder Lizards, he has initial 2 wounds, but that still kills him outright.
Karazai does get +1 attacks for the rest of the battle.
So I'm going to attack with the Bastillodon. He has Bludgeoning Tail, 3 attacks.
I am going to all-out defense them with
Okay. 3s and 3s. So they are all at defense. That is 3 hits and 3 to wound for 1 wound at -1.
So they are at 3s. That's going through.
Just D3 for 2.
That goes through. So
2 damage on that one. And that would be your activation.
I have 25 attacks this unit because their profile gets from Vandus's effect gives them all +1 attacks, and the leader of the unit gets an additional 1. So these are 3s to hit, 3s to wound. On 6s, do a mortal wound.
Sounds good.
So we got
A couple mortals.
1, 2, 3, 4 mortals to start. These will be 3s to wound. So that is 4 at -1.
4 at -1, so this is going to be on 4s, which I saved 2 of. What's the damage?
1 damage each.
1 damage each. He is up to 11 wounds. He has 1 wound remaining.
I love it.
I am going to then activate my Engine of the Gods. Okay, so he is +2 to his attacks because of the Great Drake and Primeval Warbeast.
And -1 due to Karazai.
And -1 because of Karazai, so it's going to be 3 attacks. This is going to be 2s and 3s. All hit. And 3 wounds at -1. He is +1 save.
+1. So
+1
he's,
wound.
so you got 3s. Fail 1.
And that is 4 damage.
So I roll all 6s. Ignore one of them. So he does die. Now I get to roll for that,
He's taking.
which is just 4 mortals here.
4 mortals. Because I am within 1 of a terrain piece that's in my deployment zone, I will get 6 up wards on this, and I save none of them. So I take 4.
And I don't know where you want to put that.
So at the end of his turn, both of my monsters are going to be contesting the center objective, so that he doesn't have enough bodies to hold it and keep it. So Vandus will be on that back.
This back one, yes, I will have him on that back one. So at least we'll score that.
Yeah.
So at the end of the turn, I did score my battle tactic with a monster. All in all, this game has been early game went very great, and it's been slowly going downhill. I'm not sitting on too good of a position right now.
Yeah, you did kill a monster as well, so you get an additional point for
I do
that.
get an additional point for that.
And you hold the back objective,
Yes,
so
I
you
do.
get 3 points for that one. So you're going to get 7 points this turn. All right, so we sit 10 to 14 right now, going into battle round 4. It doesn't look like a great position for Stormcast, but at the same time, I have to start scoring some points. Otherwise, I'm going to wind up too far behind to catch up. So we will roll for priority. So because we both rolled 6s, but I went first last battle round, I am going to elect to take the turn here.
And because of the fact that just looking at this position, damage output, we know where it's at. It's pretty clear that Stormcast is going to lose here. It would just be a long-winded downhill battle for me. It already has been. So at this point, I will concede and say good game. And like we always joke, me and Alex always back and forth each other every time we play,
Yeah.
because he's my go-to guy for games. So I said he was going to beat this one, and yeah, it just seemed to work out that way.
Awesome. Well, good game, sir.
Absolutely.
There was. I do wish I could have got the Dread Saurian into some more stuff.
I honestly wanted to see him and Karazai really just brawl.
I
Yeah.
think we should have had a gentleman's agreement that we fought over here with everything else and just put them over here.
Yeah, but definitely happy with the -1 damage ability on Thunder Lizards is just really good against the dragons.
Yeah, and it also, in theory, it's very bad playing hammers early game with this. I should have played, like I said, more defensively because I had no ward. Didn't help me much, but it would have been nice for that little bonus protection.
Yeah, well, and your first turn, killing my Star Priest, my Priest, all my skinks, blowing up my terrain piece, I felt very on the back foot, and then things just kind of laid out for me in a in an advantageous way.
And I knew coming into this, I was already debating my list all day. So I was kind of debating if I should have brought this list, and honestly, it didn't run bad. It just had some missteps, I should say.
Yeah, and I brought the Dread Saurian because it looks awesome.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I'm so happy I brought it.
I'm also very happy you brought it. I was very glad to see that happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for the next round of the Winter Rubicon.
And I will let it be known on video, I am not rooting for Alex the whole way.